desktop, so I just might already be one. My me with the label, it feels on the table one time, but I'm down for a free lunch. Just speaking my heat-seeking missiles of hits, but other than me, I see no heat exist. Yo, gassed up, I'm about to go green, go green, go green. Hulk smash if she know me, know me, know me. Write it to life like I'm Stan Lee, Stan Lee, Stan Lee. If life's about to be a Cold War, I'm the hero that they asked for. Green, I'm about to go, I'm about to go green. I'm about to go, I'm about to go green. I'm about to go, I'm about to go green. Get the fuck back, I'm about to go green. I might begin making a feature Iraq. Cause when I hit your beat, I turn shit to Iraq. Dropping bombs like I'm cursing you out. This your house, then I'm kicking you out. Quiet as a mouse, came in the game, not a word is out that I've been lighting the flame. Shit is potent, don't you know it? I've been flowing, steady growing till they know the name. Saw it ahead of time, knew that I'd get to my losing myself in the view that some window pain. I swear I'm all about peace, I'm a positive person. Wasn't always like that, you know it took me some learning. They asked me how I push a positive light, how I keep my composure through internal fights when addressing the mic through these dark nights. Where the Bruce Wayne, what a trick be. Here's some truth that I'll let free, Bruce Banner of rap if you ask me. When my will to win and the track meet, the secret is I'm always angry. Yo, gassed up, I'm about to go green, go green, go green. Hulk smash if she know me, know me, know me. Write it to life like I'm Stan Lee, Stan Lee, Stan Lee. If life's about to be a Cold War, I'm the hero that they asked for. Green, I'm about to go, I'm about to go green. I'm about to go, I'm about to go green. I'm about to go, I'm about to go green. Get the fuck back, I'm about to go green.
Hey, shout out to you guys for being here. What up? It's RicoKnows. Hey, so it is Thursday, and I hope my mic is working all right. I haven't had a chance to set up my audio in a while. Been busy with data, creating content all day. I worked a full day today, like always. But we're here to talk about the transfer portal. More importantly, this is the podcast on defensive linemen. This is episode number 2. So when we come across certain players, you're going to see, I'm going to tell you, hey, I already mentioned him. I already talked about him. Go to episode 1 on the defensive lineman. If you can't find episode 1, go to YouTube, check the live tab. Don't click on videos, click on live, or go to the Patreon. And on Patreon, if you search RicoKnows at patreon.com or on the app Patreon, you will find links to all of my free podcasts. As a matter of fact, I can show you guys something kind of cool if I can pull it up. Let me see if I can pull this up here. I'm trying to make sure I got the collections right. Yeah. So if you go to collections on the Patreon, as I have it here, you go to my Patreon homepage, you click on collections, you will see my picks for NFL games, you will see my picks for UFC, my picks for the bowl games, and then you will see a playlist called Free Podcast Videos. And this is where you want to go. If you click in here, you will see every single podcast video that I've posted. This is our current video we're on now. So if you're looking for an old player and you're trying to find them, this is an offensive line video. Obviously, just recently did that. Running backs video, quarterbacks. But these are all episode 1, defensive backs. We're going to have linebackers in here somewhere. There it is, linebackers. I got to clean this up. Apparently, they added some things to the playlist I didn't want in here. This is defensive lineman right here. So this is episode 1. This is what you're looking for. So, yeah, you just want to go to collections. It's like playlists. Go to collections on Patreon, and you will find all the links if you can't find it on the transfer portal here. And I can show you guys this. This is going to be like, it's going to go into itself. What is that called? Inception? Yeah, but if you go to my homepage, I don't want to click off of this because I actually need this. But that's how we get our chat. But that's all I wanted to show you. Hey, shout out to Twitter. Thank you to all you guys who follow me on Twitter. We're currently at over 2,000 now. We have over 2,000 followers. RicoKnows, TikTok, all one word. Hey, I'm out here doing it. I post everything. You guys want to know how I feel about a player? It's posted here. Hey, Rico, what do you think about this move? What do you think about that? I'd rather talk on Twitter really fast than make a video on TikTok. And that's what I've been doing nonstop. You guys see all these posts I'm scrolling like this? As you can see them all, guess what? Every single one of these posts, that's all in the last 7 hours. All this is today in the last 7 hours, the last 8 hours. So all that 9 hours. 9 hours. So somebody do the math on that. I've made every single one of these posts in the last 9 hours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Over 30 sports takes in one day, and you're missing them because you're just sitting on TikTok or YouTube. Get on Twitter, follow me, RicoKnows TikTok, and you'll learn everything you ever wanted to know. Shout out to anybody who already does it. All these guys writing to me. We're interacting. We're talking. That's where it's at. Stop spamming me DMs, bro. I don't care about your tape. I don't care about your mama. Shout out to your llama. Let's go. I'm the GOAT. Shout out to me. Speaking of GOAT, shout out to Nick Saban for retiring on his own whim whenever the hell he wanted to and leaving a bunch of kids in the wind. That's cool, man. Do you, boo. Shout out to Pete Carroll, one of the GOATs, retiring as well. I still don't forgive you for ruining USC's football empire and jumping ship and never getting punished for it. Give Reggie Bush's Heisman back. And then shout out to Bill Belichick for always being an asshole to the media, never being relatable to his players, and eventually out wearing his welcome. That's how we do things. I am going to talk about the transfer portal. Some things I want to talk about. Only defensive linemen today. There's a new column. There's a new status on 24/7 that's now pertinent because it's January and the semesters have started. And that's something called enrolled. And I want to make this very clear. When the status is enrolled, there's 3 different statuses. There's enrolled, committed, and uncommitted. And I like to focus on the committed players. But if you're committed, you can still flip. Those players flip. They verbally told you they're committed. They can still flip. If you are enrolled, there's no flipping, bro. You're going to school. You're there. You're attending classes. You're in. You're ready. And the reason that's significant is people transfer because they want to take part in spring ball. That's why they transfer in the winter portal. They want to be a part of spring football at their new school, get in the 2 deep, get a head start, and that's why the recruits show up early. Anybody who shows up late, you're behind the curveball. You're going to redshirt anyways. So they're all trying to get in there as soon as possible. Now, the only way you can play spring ball is if you transfer in January. That's it. That's the rules. And you got to be enrolled. So there's a bunch of people in the portal right now who don't have homes. Time is running out, but not really. I want to make this clear. The semester starts at certain schools later than others. And that's an advantage for teams like UMass, Oregon State, Charlotte. Some of these schools start their semester later than others. That's always an advantage for them. But you can still enroll at a school that's already started class. Mathematically, if you looked at the grading rubric and it said, if you miss 8 assignments, you'll be dropped from this class. Well, then you have time because they don't give out assignments every single day. So there's something called a drop-by date. And you have to enroll in classes, be approved by admissions, and get in before the drop-by date. Anybody who doesn't show up that first day of class is just marked absent. They're a no-show. They're fine. But if you miss the first 3 assignments in the semester, you can still pass the class. You just got to get straight A's the rest of the way. You're probably not going to be magna cum laude like me, but, more power to you. I can't relate, bro. I don't miss assignments. I looked at class like it was a competition. I wanted to beat everybody around me. That's how I approach life. Everything's a competition with me, bro. I grew up with an identical twin brother. I beat him at everything I ever did in life because I'm that competitive. You can't beat me at anything. I don't let it slide. You're walking faster than me. You need to slow down. I don't walk that fast because I want to beat you. I'm telling you, I'm just different. That being said, some of these players are enrolled. They're at school. They're not flipping. The players who are available, they're not necessarily dead in the portal just yet. There was probably a dozen guys that I saw last year that were in the portal from the winter and eventually got signed in the spring. Now, yes, you get behind the power curve a bit. You didn't take part in spring football, but a school will sign you because they think they need help. Remember, when you're signed in the transfer portal in the spring, that is the coaching staff trying to address a need wholeheartedly. Coaching staff saw everybody at spring football and said, we still need help at this position group. Prime example, Texas State signing TJ Finley last offseason. They had already signed a quarterback in the winter portal, Malik Henry, right? And they said, hey, this guy, Hornsby, I'm sorry, Malik Henry. Hey, nobody signed Malik Henry. Stop it. Malik Hornsby, transfer from Arkansas. They said, hey, we like this kid. Went through spring ball with him and said, oh, no, we need more quarterbacks. Same thing happened at Cal. They went and signed Lamson after spring ball. He won the second string job at Syracuse, And he jumped in the transfer portal, and they said, man, we need more quarterbacks. We don't like what we have here in Findlay. We don't like what we have here in our roster. So there are teams that address certain position groups in the spring. They'll try to sign more players. But you got to be pretty frightened if you're in the portal right now. You guys don't understand. There are recruiting misses every year, and thousands of young men, their football careers are over. That's it. Like when you guys start asking, well, what happens to this player? Nothing. He becomes a part of the workforce. He goes and starts working construction, paying taxes, taking your order. It happens by the thousands. And this is in every walk of life. But in college football, we just assume, well, he signed with a Power 5 team. He's a Division I athlete. That's a D1 athlete. Yeah, for about 6 months. And then he got smart with the coaches, talked back, and thought he could make it in the portal. I'm out of here. I don't need this shit. There's one young man who jumped in the portal 6 weeks into his freshman year. And Georgia signed him because they're convinced he can play football. I see a red flag. We'll talk about it tonight. So I'm going to talk about these players that are enrolled first. Then I'm going to go to the chat. You guys know the deal. Discord server's up there for the chat. Not too many people join in on the Discord server. I could move it off completely so we can see the full screen. I'll keep the Discord server chat off screen. And if anybody wants to talk, I'll check it. There's really no one in there but me right now. And we'll just give a priority to YouTube chat. Shout out to you guys. And then we can have more of the screen so we can see what's going on. Let me do that. That's probably a little better. A little less chaotic on the screen as well. And you guys watching on smaller screens can see what's up. If you're on TikTok and you're trying to talk to me, I don't watch anything you're saying. You need to move over to YouTube, and you can drop a comment in YouTube. That's what you can do. I won't talk to anyone on TikTok. A lot of that has to do with the fact that it doesn't save the messages. They keep scrolling, and I can't see older messages. If you go over here on YouTube, I will see the messages because they stay there. I answer messages once every 5 to 10 minutes. So please be patient. Don't repeat your question. Thank you guys for being here. Let's get it started. Give me 1 second. I need to double check. I need to move this off this screen. There we go. Thank you very much. All right. So, transfer portal, defensive lineman. I'm going to talk about the guys that are currently enrolled at school, and we'll go from there. First and foremost, LT Overton. I already talked about him in the first episode. Go and watch it if you want. Marvin Jones, leaving Georgia, going to Florida State. Now, if you guys don't know Marvin Jones, his father was an amazing linebacker. In college, won the Buckus Award, the Lombardi Award, and then went on to have an 11-year career with the Jets, which is remarkable to play football for over 10 years. So this is the son of a great NFL player. And Marvin Jones has been around NFL caliber people for a long time. His half-brother, Darryl Porter, I believe he plays on the same team. Or no, he played at West Virginia. Where does he play? Darryl Porter plays somewhere. But check this out. Marvin Jones Jr., coming out of high school, American Heritage High School in Florida, his head coach was Pat Surtain. Former NFL cornerback, defensive back Pat Surtain. You know his son, Pat Surtain Jr., but Pat Surtain was an amazing player when he played in the NFL. That was his high school coach. Guess where Pat Surtain coaches now? He's a secondary coach, a DB coach at Florida State. So there's a level of familiarity here. You're playing for your dad's alma mater. You have 2 years of eligibility left, and I want to say this. Georgia, you were reckless with Marvin Jones. You were reckless with this young man. You made him waste. He wasted a freshman year of eligibility playing special teams. Should have saved it. Let him play 4 games and chill. 4 games in the bowl game, he would have been straight. But you guys go out there and waste his red shirt, and now he only has 2 years of eligibility left. This is a kid who has all the right metrics. Like, he looks like an NFL football player. He hasn't done anything on the field to warrant it. He just looks like it. That's all I'm saying. 6'5", 250. He's just ideal in size, in stature, in ability, but no production to speak of. So they rank him this high, and it bothers me because there's no productivity up here to warrant that ranking. It's all website. It's all website driven. The recruiting websites have been pushing this narrative for a while. The Georgia kid's got to be great. He's going to Florida State, but I don't see a bona fide starter. I don't see a bona fide star player. I hope he's good. I hope he gets there. But as of right now, he's not there. Now, yes, he did start the bowl game against Alabama. Congratulations. But I felt like that was Georgia having some openings in their lineup and trying to appease this kid and make sure he didn't jump in the portal before he left. Because, he played in 12 games. Only 12 tackles on the whole season. But they let him start that Bama game, and they lost. Okay, Joey Slackman, already talked about him in the first episode. Kyle Kennard, talked about him in the first episode. Tommy Wadurje, I've always talked about him, but not in the episodes. I'll just tell you that I'm a big fan of Big Tommy. He's a fan of the channel. He comes out and follows me. We talked in DMs. He sent me a message on Twitter. Shout out to him. He said, yo, Rico, I'm checking to see if you make another video about me. Hey, these players, they're amazing, but there's nothing better than reading your own headlines and seeing your own videos. So I try my best. I can just tell you that Big Tommy's a great player. I think he has immense amount of potential. This last season, he was a redshirt freshman for West Virginia in the rotation automatically on the field. He got on my radar last year when he took a trip to Colorado. So this is a kid who's originally signed out of Kentucky, out of high school, 4 stars, goes to Kentucky, looks like an SEC recruit. He's at Kentucky for 1 year, doesn't see the field, red shirts, and then he's on trips, and he's going on trips to Colorado, and he's going on trips to West Virginia. So I go turn on the high school tape. I got no tape of him in college. I go turn on the high school tape. See a damn monster. See a stud. I said, oh, my goodness. Colorado needs to get this guy. 6'4", 280. Well, he decided to go with West Virginia, and my goodness, did it pay dividends, because he helped West Virginia's defense look great, helped bridge the gap, helped get him to, Neil Brown kept his job because of moves like this. So he jumps back in the portal, and now he's going to Florida State. And one thing he wanted to let everybody know is he is not a rotational piece. He wants to be that every down player. He wants to be that star. Everybody's looking to replace Jared Verse. Everybody's looking to be the next great star. And Florida State lost some defensive linemen in this cycle here where they lost some depth. Gilbert Edmond departed. They lost some players of essential need, and they're finding replacements. And one of the replacements is Durje. Now, I will say Tommy Wadurje is not Jared Verse. Let's slow down. But the intent is to replace players like that with good players. I think Tommy, although they say they can move him to the outside, at the size that he is, he's 20 pounds away from being a dominant defensive tackle, and he's 10 pounds away from being a very, very good defensive end. That's a problem because then you're a tweener, and nobody wants a tweener. Shout out to Danielle Marshall if y'all don't know. Anyways, back in the day. That's basketball, y'all. Anyways, next guy, Ty French, highly productive, probably my favorite player in the transfer portal for the defensive lineman, but I'm not going to talk about him because I talked about him in the first episode. James Carpenter, leaving JMU, going to Indiana, following his coach. He said, yo, I'm going to go with you, coach. I got 1 year of eligibility left. Shout out to Stonebridge High School in Ashburn, Virginia. This kid has played in 40 games at JMU. 40 games, 141 tackles. Think about that. At defensive tackle, 141 tackles. So he was second belt all Mountain or all Sun Belt, Mountain West, all Sun Belt this year, but he was also third team all group of 5. There's this website called Hero Sports, and they do group of 5 All-Americans instead of Power 5. And FCS and FBS, they do group of 5 All-American lists. And he was on the third team for that list. So that's pretty cool. He had 4 sacks this year. In 2022, he was a second team All-Sun Belt. So he's been all-conference back-to-back years. As a redshirt freshman, he was an FCS freshman All-American. Remember, in 2021, they were FCS. But James Carpenter, this dude's been in school since 2019. 2019, true freshman year, redshirted. 2020 didn't count. 2021 redshirt FCS All-American, redshirt freshman. 22 second team All-Conference. Last year, or this year as you say, second team All-Conference. Been a great player every year. Every chance he gets a chance to play, he's ready. So I'm curious to see what he does at Indiana. He is undersized. 6'1", 265. I think he's undersized. But Coach brought you. Coach believes in you. Shout out to you. I already talked about Zaylen Wood in the first episode. John Henry Daly leaving BYU, going to Utah. If he looks like a 30-year-old substitute teacher, it's because he is, dude. This guy's 6'5", 250. Coming out of high school, this was his quote-unquote true freshman year. Or, I'm sorry, no, this was his redshirt freshman year. He had a true freshman year last year. But, guys, this dude went on a mission to Brazil. He's probably got a wife with kids and a mortgage and a credit score most of these kids don't have. He could probably rent a car. So he played 1 year at BYU, and then he transfers to Utah, but his older brother left. That's what it is. His older brother, his name's Michael, he hit the portal as well. So Michael leaves, and Michael hasn't signed anywhere yet, but John Henry Daly is a coveted piece, so Utah gets him. I think Utah has one hell of a defensive line for next year, their first year in the Big 12. Guys, I promise you, they have a solid defensive line. They got another stud down here. We're going to get to him. 0-star dude from UTEP. I'm telling you, I turn on the tape, Utah's defensive line is something nice. Shout out to American Fork, Utah. That's where he's from. You guys know they have a really good high school, but he's from Lone Peak High School. He had an amazing senior year. Went and watched his tape. 22 sacks in his senior year. Remarkable. Grady Kelly, this is one of those players I told you. Florida State's trying to replace their defensive line, trying to find players that can fill the gaps and the needs, and they go grab Grady Kelly, an undersized defensive tackle, but he's 6'2", 285. But, man, Grady Kelly can play football. He's originally from Florida, born in Colorado, from Florida, goes back to Colorado for school, been there a couple times. Highly academic, dude. Highly academic. Coming out of high school, had offers from Cornell and Rice. Those are both academic institutions. I think he's going to surprise some people. I think he will be in the rotation immediately at Florida State. Yup, I said it. Immediately. This is a guy playing at Colorado State that I think can play at Florida State. Just letting you know. Just keeping it real, son. 2022 freshman All-American. You heard me right. Freshman All-American. 43 tackles as a defensive tackle. You guys know how hard it is to get tackles as a defensive tackle? I guess you got to go against run-oriented offenses and get all the tackles. So you got to play Air Force, Wyoming, UNLV, San Diego State, Boise State, Nevada, New Mexico, and you just got to get all the tackles coming up the middle. It can happen, and he did just that. So shout out to him. Corday Sindor, I'm saying his name wrong. It happens, bro. It happens. Leaving Purdue, going to Vandy. A lot of this just has to do with a new coaching staff showed up at Purdue, and you didn't get the production you wanted. That's all there is to it. This is a kid from New York. When I watched this tape, he's from Iona Prep. I couldn't really tell how great he was on tape. I thought he was solid. Had a nice bend around the corner. Like he like bends. Most defensive ends, if you don't know in high school tape, they don't bend like that, man. They're afraid of gravity. They don't understand how inertia works. If you bend a little bit and keep running, you're going to be straight. But he had offers from Harvard and Yale. This kid is smart as hell. So offers from Harvard and Yale. 2022, he's an honorable freshman All-American because he had 4.5 sacks. But this year, 5 tackles. Fell way off the map. And that's kind of crazy because Brick is his head coach, right? Or Brick is his positions coach. When I look, and if you guys don't know, Brick is a great defensive line coach at Purdue. But when I look at it, even if you're falling under the linebackers coach, it's a different scheme. This kid was like 7th string this year. And that's nuts because he was a freshman All-American. He was supposed to be the guy. And they just kind of rotated him out. And when I look, remember they got the JUCO transfer from Auburn. Mbake, something like that. Emba. And they got some other guys. They just looked better and more mature, physically developed than Sindor here. So go to Vandy. Get developed, get a chance. But when I look at Vandy, let me say this. Vandy's edge defenders, trash for 2 years now. I'm not impressed with anyone. They got this guy DeCosmo from Fresno State, former Stanford kid, transferred to Fresno State for 1 year, then transferred to Vandy. They got players on their team that I'm not impressed with. Vandy does, on the edge, and it's problematic. So hopefully Sindor can be developed and become a part of that team. One guy that doesn't need to be developed is Kamara here. Mikhail Kamara, leaving JMU, going to Indiana. Another guy following his coach. Said, what do we got, coach? What are we doing? Well, we're going to Indiana and we're dominating. This man made 17.5 tackles for loss. You guys, 17.5 tackles for loss. He looks amazing on tape. I think he's an NFL caliber player. He looks amazing on tape. I don't trust PFF. I went and looked it up because I'm like, man, this is an NFL draft pick for me. I'm going to write this down, right? So I go look up PFF, and they say he's the 9th best player on JMU this year. Bullshit. I turn on the tape, he's 3 or 4. He's the 3rd or 4th best player on that team. On defense, he's great. Remember, JMU was number 1 against the rush this year. Number 1 defense against the rush in the entire country. It's because of guys like Kamara right here. It's because of James Carpenter. The defensive line having problems up front, tackling people. 17.5 tackles for loss, y'all. That's amazing. I loved it. It's all second belt or all Sun Belt second team. Great player. I don't care about that. 6.5 sacks. I don't care about that 9th best PFF score. Garbage. George Gums. Leaving Northern Illinois, going to Florida. I don't know much about Gums. I really don't. I hope Florida found their answer, but I couldn't find a whole lot of information on Gums, and that's on me. I tried, man. And when I don't know you, it bothers me. It bothers me, and I really don't like that they reevaluated him and ranked him ahead of some guys that I know are highly productive or are more skillful, and I don't know Gums that well. That's just me being real. So I owe you guys a better answer. I just personally don't know him. Congratulations, Florida. You signed a kid I don't know. Congrats. And that's nuts. Tafase Ayambi Tafase. I hope I'm saying his name right. Leaving Florida State, going to Georgia Tech. What you'll notice here are there 2 players going to Georgia Tech, and they ranked them the same. This is just them being lazy. They got a .85 and a .81. So if Tafase and Barton, both going to Georgia Tech has some real problems on the defensive line. They need players, and I hope they addressed it. So Tafase, Concordia Prep, Baltimore, Maryland. I think he won state his senior year. He's 6'4", 299. Huge kid. Wanted by everybody. And what's crazy is coming out of high school, Virginia Tech really wanted him. And I thought he was going to go back to Virginia Tech. I thought he was going to go. And instead he went with Georgia Tech. That's awesome. He took trips to Virginia Tech, Charlotte, and he still went there. I don't understand it. I thought it was amazing that Georgia Tech won that recruiting battle. Shout out to Brent Key and what they're building. He only played in 3 games this year, only had 1 tackle. It's all potential. For whatever reason, he reclassified in high school to be a part of the 2022 class, and then they deemed him ineligible, so he couldn't play last year. I don't know what that's about. I tried to find more information about it, but what it really comes down to is I think Florida State's going to miss him. Tafase was going to be one of those defensive linemen they needed, and that's why they signed guys like Grady Kelly. And I'm going to come back to this video one day, and I'm going to remember I told you guys Georgia Tech got a stud player, and Florida State's going to miss him. I don't know how it's going to end in the results of the game. I just know what I'm saying. Jack Barton, defensive lineman, coming back home, going to Furman out of high school. I want to tell you guys, he was a tight end. He was a tight end in high school. Shout out to Centennial High School here in Georgia, Roswell, Georgia. But he was a tight end, and they moved him to defensive lineman once he got to Furman. He was on the bench his freshman year. There was an injury. Then he started the next 9 games, and this last year he started the full season. So he still got 2 years of eligibility, still young, 6'4", 260, good edge rusher, 265-ish. Only had 3.5 sacks. Not this game changer, but added depth that they need. They lost Kennard. I think I talked about him in the first episode. I definitely did. So they lost Kyle Kennard, and this is what they got. More power to them. But you lose 5 other defensive linemen in the transfer portal, you need to find answers, and that's what Georgia Tech's trying to do. So they have lost 5 defensive linemen in the transfer portal. Georgia Tech has. Whether it be defensive tackles and edge rushers, whatever. Will Seller. Kind of hard to find information on Will Seller coming out of Penn. I will say this. Most Penn players are overrated in the portal. You see Joey Slackman up here from Penn. They got a couple other guys on their team that when they hit the portal, for whatever reason, these recruiting websites must have a graduate from Penn or something because they overrate all of them except for Will Seller. They didn't overrate him at all. He's 6'4", 290. He's been there 2 years, going to Duke, highly academic. He played at Lovett. It's a Georgia high school. A lot of these kids are from Georgia, by the way. It's kind of crazy. A lot of these kids are from Georgia. You're going to see, and you're going to be like, what the hell? It's cool. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. No, he's at Lovett, rotational at Penn. Not even like a real player at Penn. He's one of the less hyped players. I didn't get too impressed with this signing. I don't know what they're doing. I would imagine Manny Diaz picked this kid. Anybody who signs to Duke, everybody's gonna give Manny Diaz credit. This does not look like a Manny Diaz recruit. Nope. Victone Brown, coming out of high school, was one of my favorite players. Let me explain. He's from Georgia, played at Grayson, played on his senior year. They won the state title. They beat Collins Hill. They beat, who was the quarterback? Sam Horn. Who was the wide receiver? Travis Hunter. An amazing team at Collins Hill. But you had Grayson, and Grayson had 3 studs. To me, 3 studs. Phil Moffa at running back, the Clemson running back. Jamal Haynes was a wide receiver, a little small scat back, slot receiver. He's now the starting running back for Georgia Tech. And then you had Victone Brown. And I thought Brown was just as good as anybody on Grayson. Brown was great, committed to Louisville. But this was a 3-star kid. I don't buy that, man. He just looks so good on film. So good on the field. I went and watched them in person. And I thought, man, that's the guy. And it didn't happen. 6'4", 250. You go to Louisville, and the coaches who recruited you at Louisville, they left. And you got new coaches in the Braun brothers. They don't want to use you. So Brown hasn't been used much at all. But, man, he was great in high school. So he's coming back home, going to Georgia State. I think it's a good get for Georgia State. I'm excited for Georgia State. I really am. Sione Lolohe. The only thing that surprised me about this move, leaving from Oregon State, going to FSU, is why are Oregon State players not following Jonathan Smith to Michigan State? There's been a handful of quality transfers, and they're not going to Michigan State. It's really weird. What is that? And it's been happening. Congrats to Florida State trying to address their needs, grabbing anybody remotely good on the defensive line and just letting them all figure it out. Let the chips fall where they may. They're getting as many players as they can and let them do that damn thing. Ladarius Cox leaving Indiana, going to UAB. Let's just be real, man. Ladarius Cox, great high school player. Shout out to McGill Tulane High School. Played for Mobile, Alabama. He's coming back home. But you play 7A football in Alabama. First team All-State. You go from that to being one of the greatest players in all of high school. You go to Ole Miss. You can't play at Ole Miss. So you transfer to Indiana. And what happens at Indiana? You can't play there either. He's had 19 tackles in the last 2 years at Indiana. So now you're being realistic and you're going to UAB. Last year, UAB got a defensive lineman from Florida State. His name escapes me right now. I want to say it was Woody. But I was so impressed with his tape. So I think Trent Dilfer, the head coach at UAB, has a chance to put together one heck of a defensive front if you do it right and you get the right players. I think this young man might be revitalized, coming back home, playing in front of people that he knows. Being close to home, I hope he stays out of trouble and dominates. That's all I'm saying. And I say stay out of trouble, not like I have any inclination that he's a bad person. Just that when people come home, man, I was in the military my whole 20s. And I can remember when I would go home for vacation, and home wasn't where I get my mail. Home was where I grew up. And I went back and hit my old streets. First thing I want to do was go to the club and party all night long. Because I'm an adult now. And I'm back in these streets where I grew up, and I go to the club and I see that girl from my old high school, and I see that dude I had beef with, and it's just a bad situation. So I hope his situation is straight. Hope he has a great homecoming and everything goes well. And I hope UAB benefits from a transfer coming from Indiana that couldn't quite break the 2 deep, and he was in the rotation a little bit, but not much. And it's just been a disappointing high school career. Been a disappointing high school or college career, for Ladarius Cox. I'm almost done here, guys. Got 2 more, then I'll go to the chat, and then we'll start hitting the list. Katie McDonald leaving UCF, going to Georgia State. Another Georgia State transfer. Shout out to KD. He is from Tift, Georgia. Tift plays in they play in 7A. He's all state. doesn't show me a whole lot of moves on the tape, bruh. He would just go up to a guy and club him and just out-muscle him. And I hope he's learned some moves over the years at UCF. But this is a guy that just kind of struggled on tape. Played in 3 games this year. And I hope he's realized you got to do something more. You got to come with a move at the line of scrimmage. Got to do it. Coming out of high school, KD McDaniels signed with Kentucky. And it didn't work out. And then he ended up at UCF. Still didn't work out. And now he's at Georgia State. This is those things I'm trying to tell these kids. You can't play at Kentucky. You can't play at Ole Miss. So you think you're going to transfer to Cincinnati or UCF. I got news for you. You can't play there either. You're wasting a year of your eligibility. You need to go down to the group of 5 immediately and get entrenched and get on the field and start proving how good you are. Now, if you ball out at the group of 5, you might earn that spot to get back up. But at no point should you be making lateral transfers to other Power 5 schools. It's a waste, and there's so many of these kids wasting their years of eligibility doing it. Manny Nunnery just did it this last year. He transferred from Houston to Florida, and he was a backup at Houston, and he transferred to Florida. No idea why he did it. I even made a video about it, posted all over Twitter. I was like, what are you guys doing? That's ridiculous. And then there's Canius Vaughn. Canius Vaughn leaving UTEP, going to Utah. And I know some of you guys are like, what? Canius Vaughn leaving Utah. He's 6'2", 228, small. Canius Vaughn's going to be a JUCO player that made it to the NFL. I'm just being real with y'all. This year, 1 season at UTEP, 6 sacks. 6 sacks. When he was at Saddleback Community College, he was the Southern League Defensive Player of the Year, the MVP of the whole league. 11 sacks. So he has proven himself time and time again at any echelon. This guy has great instincts, great pass rushing. Canius Vaughn going to Utah. How do you go from UTEP to Utah? You go out there and dominate every single play. All right. I'm going to the chat. You guys know the deal. Chat, defensive lineman is what we're talking. If anybody's talking anything else, I'm just going to ignore you. And then we'll get to looking at the players who are currently, let me do this. Players that are committed that I haven't talked about yet on the defensive line. I'll give you my assessment of them. Let's go back down. But if you want to get your questions in on YouTube, get it in now. Because once we run out of questions, the show's over. That's just how I get down. Well, once I stop talking about all the players. All right, let's go. Welcome to the chat. Mike Schmidt says, the Tide are screwed, Rico. I don't necessarily know about screwed. They're just going to be struggling. They're just going to be struggling for a while. And that's just the norm of losing a head coach and losing the battle rhythm of your program. That's how it goes. You know, I always had a good job in my life. I did. I always had a good job. I was always in the military. I was higher ranking, so I always had a good paycheck. I can remember being married, and my wife and I were going through some shit, right? We're going through a divorce or whatever. And she went and she emptied out the bank account. We had a joint bank account. Joint bank account, she took all my money. And I want to say it was 2011, and I had $7,000 to my name. And I thought I had a good little cushion there. $7,000. I could pay all my bills. I'm all right. All my bills were like $3,000 a month. So I had 2 months worth of bills in my bank account. I thought I was straight. I'm not living paycheck to paycheck. I got $7,000. Yeah, that's nothing in the world, in the grand scheme of things. But in that moment, I thought I was making it. I was about 29 years old. And I remember when she got me down to $0, took all the money, and then all the bills went through. And I had insufficient funds for $3,000. I was minus $3,000. All the bills went through. And it was like July 7th, if I remember correctly. July 7th, 2013. And I just couldn't believe what happened. No, it was 2011. July 7th, 2011. I couldn't believe what happened. I hit rock bottom. And I thought, I'm screwed. Just like you wrote, the Tide are screwed. But I had a great job. I had a way to bounce back. I was extremely intelligent. I knew I was going to be okay. I just had to figure some shit out. So I moved out of my 5-bedroom house, got my divorce, started renting an apartment, tried to get back on my feet, and it took me years to get back on my feet. I still had a good job the whole time. I still had the same frame of mind. I still had, the work ethic. I was still getting promoted at work, still getting raises. I was doing everything responsible. And I can still remember I was trying to make ends meet and it wasn't working. And then the judge came and said, "Oh, you got to pay $2,000 a month in child support." And I couldn't believe it. So I went to Craigslist and I started renting rooms off Craigslist. 10 by 10 rooms. I was renting a room off Craigslist paying $500 a month in the DMV area. I was renting from this elderly lady. And she just let me stay in a room. She had a TV. It didn't even high-def TV. Didn't even have high definition. I couldn't read the score to the game. I was watching football games. Couldn't read the score because the graphics were made for high-def TV, and this was just analog. It was just bad. And I just remember looking around going, man, I'm at rock bottom. I'm screwed. But I wasn't screwed. I was just navigating through life, figuring it out. And here we are 10, 13, 14 years later. And my goodness, I can't even begin to tell you how great my life is. And how I've recovered immensely in every aspect of life. And I think that Bama's going to go through that. I think Bama's going to go through failure, loss. They just lost their partner for life. They need to find a new partner. But they still have some things going for them. They still have a good job. They still have a nice campus, great boosters, income. They still have people who believe in them. They still have location, proximity, obviously association with the SEC. Like, they still have a lot of things going for them. But yes, it's going to be a while before they bounce back. That's just the way it is. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. Good afternoon, Rico. Do you think Jacob Konega will make a big impact for Arizona State? He was really good. Yeah, so no, David, I don't think any defensive lineman is going to make a big impact for Arizona State or for any team. Jacob doesn't move the meter for me, but I understand being good. You can be a good player, but what will make an impact on a team from the transfer portal perspective is a starting quarterback. If you found a starting quarterback, that's impact. If you found a starting running back, that's impact. Found some star wide receivers, impact. Defensive linemen, not so much. Defensive players, not so much. Just so we're clear. My bad. I meant defensive players. Good afternoon, Rico. Shout out to you, Jabon Fuller. Jeremy Harrington, do you have a schedule of when you do the podcast, or is it just when you feel like it? It's definitely not just when I feel like it, Jeremy. I used to have a schedule. As of right now, I'm very busy, and it's hard to keep my schedule. So last year, the schedule in the offseason was every single day, a podcast at 5 p.m. Now, it takes me about a day of preparation, and then I take a day off, and then so let's just say I'm going every other day. But with the NFL playoffs, with me doing prize picks and NFL picks, UFC fights, like tomorrow, I can't do a podcast. I'm going to be busy with doing UFC analysis and getting ready for those fights. I just have other priorities. So I don't have a schedule published. So I just post. They're on. If you go to Patreon and YouTube, you will see the post even after the fact. So if you missed the live stream, it's not gone. All you have to do is click on the live tab, and there they all are. People think it's under the video tab, and that's why they can't see the podcast. They're there forever. So you guys will be fine. If you miss it after hours, most people watch my show on YouTube and change the playback speed to like 1.5 or 2, and they watch it because they're watching it while they're driving and shit. I don't know. Thoughts on Nebraska's pickups? As a whole, I haven't really studied Nebraska's pickups. Remember, I'm doing this by position group. Defensive line-wise, Nebraska hasn't really impressed me. Yes, they've gotten some good players in other position groups for sure. They've gotten players of their needs. But for me, a lot of Nebraska signings are potential-driven signings and not necessarily production. And I don't like that. I prefer the latter, right? I prefer production-driven signings, meaning all-conference players, people who were 1,000-yard rushers, people who are great. When you guys try to hype up a former 4 or 5-star player who wasn't in the 2 deep at another school, I just kind of look at you and just be like, okay, Listen, you are trying to hype up somebody who's never done the job versus somebody who's been doing the job. I want you to think of like an attorney. Do you want the attorney that's been to court and done this a couple of times and given out their opening remarks and their closing statements and they've been on trial? Or do you want a guy who just graduated law school but he has a really high GPA and somebody swore to you he's going to be good someday, but you don't know anything about him? All you guys hype up the graduates. All you guys hype up the high school recruits, and I'm hyping up a 1,000-yard rusher and receiver from the group of 5. Different apples and oranges, right? I like people who've actually done this on a Saturday. If you laced it up and you beat an entire other team of college football players, I believe in you. If you didn't do that, if you didn't earn playing time because you weren't better than the people around you at practice, I don't believe in you. The only reason we know your damn name is because of some recruiting website. So, while you're sitting here gassing up Dante Dowdle, for example, the running back, 6'2", 205, 220. Dante Dowdle leaving Oregon, going to Nebraska. I got Nebraska fans flooding my inbox going, oh, my God, we got Dante Dowdle. And I'm going, how do you know his name? What Saturday did you see him dominating and you know his name? You don't. You didn't see him. You're talking about him because 2 websites told you to talk about him. That's asinine to me. That's crazy. Is this the same people gassing up mock drafts, begging me to rank players before the NFL draft? Same bullshit people. Like, it just bothers me in that regard. Please, watch the games, watch the players, and put value in what you see. Not what you heard, not what you read, but what you see. That's all I'm saying. Lewis Brown is the most overlooked player in the portal. Well, not necessarily. You just mentioned him. What do you think about cornerback Deshaun Watkins transfer to UMass? There'll be a secondary episode. This is defensive lineman. What up, Uncle Rico? GFT, shout out to you. Torrin Carter, 33 games, 5 starts, recording 60 tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks. Good get for the Buffs. Let me tell you something. Colorado just got Torrin Carter today. It's pretty funny. I was going through my database, my list of players, and I have them in order by not necessarily by what. And by the way, Jacob Kanega is going to be in the next episode, just so we're clear. David in Arizona, I wanted to touch back on that with you, brother. David Kanega will be in the next episode. He's not going to be in today's episode. He was, and I had to cut him out. But I was looking through my list of people, right? Torrin Carter. And they're all in order. He's leaving Arkansas, going to SMU. And then he leaves. He decommits from SMU. And now he's going to Colorado. But he was in the ranks. And see this here? This is the order of their rankings. And I was scrolling through this. And now I have a list of these guys in this order because that's how 24/7 wants to put them. And when I went through here, I couldn't find Torrin Carter. And I was like, where is he? Because Torrin Carter is supposed to be right behind George Gums right now. Let's see if it's here. So we're going to get to George Gums when it comes up. This is me memorizing the fucking list. Excuse my language. Where's George Gums and Torrin Carter? It's coming. Hang in there. Did I pass it already? I think I passed it. What is wrong with me? There he is. Oh, look at that. He moved again. And that's my point. Now that he's committed to Colorado, they moved him. Oh, George Gums not on the list because he's already enrolled in school. So if I go to my database, where's Nick James? Give me a guy. Nick James, Roman Petrie. Where's Roman Petrie? Didn't we see him up here? Oh, these guys are criminal, bro. This is nuts. I'm going to find it. But the point I'm trying to make is they changed his rank based on the school he committed to. They changed his rating. They think nobody's paying attention. I'm paying attention because I keep a track of this order here. I'm paying attention. Oh, there's Petrie. Okay. So he's one spot ahead of Peter. Guess what? I go back over here. Where is it? Okay, they didn't move him. They moved him when he left SMU, though. I know they moved him when he left SMU. Not that he was going to Colorado. They moved him when he left SMU. They changed his rating. It's bullshit. So, is he a good get for Colorado? I'm going to talk about him individually coming up. What I will say is he's beef. He's beef. None of this matters. You see these stats you're telling me? Oh, by the way, he's played in 33 games. What really matters is he is beef. He's not getting blown off the ball. That man is 300 pounds, and he's a problem up front. And you don't want to be undersized on the defensive line. This is bad news for the players who showed up last year. Wait till spring football ends. Wait till spring football ends, and all the transfers from last season realize they've been upgraded. Because the additions in this offseason cycle are better than the players on the roster. That's the reality of the situation. It's the way it goes. Damn, Bill O'Boyle left Sean Lewis. Yes, he did. Bill O'Boyle, offensive lineman from Kent State, was Colorado's offensive lineman. Coach OB was supposed to go to San Diego State, and he took an offer to go be the Northwestern offensive line coach. I'm going to say a couple things about that. First and foremost, his pipeline in high school recruiting is the Midwest. So it makes sense for him to go back to the Midwest where he's really good at recruiting offensive linemen. That's a reality. Bill O'Boyle is a Northwestern type of coach. Going to coach for Braun is a big deal. Going to coach in the Big Ten is a way bigger deal than going to San Diego State. That's the opportunity. You're going to a Power 5 school. You're going to get paid handsomely, right? You're going to get $500,000. Position coaches make some real money, at least $500,000. So it's a paycheck. It's an opportunity. It's a foot in the Power 5. You keep taking it and keep taking it and keep taking it. Bama Boy says, hey, man, good to see you. Thank you so much. Mike Schmidt says, I will only stay a Bama fan if they hire Coach Prime, Harbaugh, or Kirby. Well, they're not hiring Coach Prime. Alabama is one of 24 schools in the history of NCAA football that has never hired a black head coach. People get mad at me for saying that. They're like, Rico, he's just not qualified for it. It doesn't matter if he was qualified. He would not be on the list of candidates. They do not. They will not hire a black head coach. And while they're at it, they've never hired a black athletic director either. Not happening. Trust. Not ever happening. At least not for a while. I'm going to tell you who's going to be Alabama's black first head coach. It's going to be, it needs to be somebody like Jalen Hurts. Like, it needs to be a former player that is revered by everyone, and that's your best chance. But it's not going to be some outsider showing up, and they don't need his help. They're not doing it. And you can call me what you want. Some white guys are mad about it. Oh, this is racism. No, dude. This is being realistic. Calling it like we see it. Being real. Nope. You can get the players. He can be a guest appearance and be a guest speaker. He ain't getting that whistle, that clipboard, that office. He ain't getting that. Nope. As far as Harbaugh and Kirby, not interested in the job, I'm sure. Neither one of them. It's not a job you really want, following a legend. I think DeBoer is probably your best bet. That's Washington's head coach. DeBoer is probably your best bet. Trust. Right now, of people that are interested. DeBoer. All those coaches aren't going to Bama. Harbaugh going to the NFL. Kirby staying at Georgia. And staying at CU. Dan staying at Oregon. Bama is left with Meyer or Norvell. Yeah, it's funny. People want Norvell now. Telling me Florida State's culture was bad. They all sat out the bowl game. It's a product of their culture. Their culture's bad. Now, all of a sudden, Norvell's good enough to be the head coach. It's really weird. What a double standard. Saban wanted to give the program to Sarkisian, but he left for Texas. Maybe he'd come back, but I doubt it. No, he's not coming back. No. He can be at Texas and get his own statue over there if they win enough. And we all know things didn't end well with Kiffin at Bama. That's irrelevant. Kiffin's already bounced back from that. Kiffin's just got a better shot at Ole Miss right now. Sarkisian, Texas job is better than Alabama job. 100% agree. Why would he downgrade? Exactly. No job is better than Bama. Oh, Mike Schmidt, many jobs are better than Bama. Many. Many have lower expectations. Many have lower pressure from boosters. Many are paying more. Like, no, man. You're tripping. DeMarco Ryan already got quarterback, and in the playoffs, he ain't leaving. Alabama said they need to hire a coach in 72 hours. It's not going to be Ryan as he's in the playoffs. DeMeco Ryan? He's not even, no. Bama only became relevant due to Saban. Yes. Remember all the coaches they used to hire. Terrible coaches. Sorry you guys are arguing about this. How many championships did Bryant win in the 2000s before Saban took over in 2009? Are we talking about Bear Bryant? Yeah, Bear Bryant's dynasty. Bear Bryant didn't win a national title for 7 years after he won one in 75, I think. He didn't win another one. He retired in 82. And they didn't win shit until Gene Stallings in 90-something. So it took him like 20 years, bro. Relax. It's going to take 20 years, Mike Schmidt. Relax. Do your homework. Go study. Hey, Rico, not sure if you talked about Torrin Carter. I did. I just talked about him. Thoughts on Oregon's D-line? Looks pretty good. I hope they sign Gilbert Edmond, but they look pretty solid. Look like they got the right pieces. We'll see what happens. Rico, what up? What up, Jack Wagner? Hey, Rico, what do you think of Daquan Deuce to Michigan State? Nothing really. Not a big move for me. Not a surprising move. Thanks for asking. Chris, you're talking about Longhorns who had 3 titles. Yeah. Rico, did you talk about Willard yet? I have missed it, been in and out. Jack Wagner, I have not. We're just getting to the list now of players that are committed. So we've only been talking about players that were enrolled. I will talk about players that are committed. Thanks for asking. I really don't want to talk about the rest of this stuff. Transfer defense lineman Elijah Austin from Marshall to Miami. Oh, did he commit to Miami? Congratulations. Texas is a better job. Minka Fitzpatrick will be the first black coach in Alabama. There you go. That's what I'm saying. It's got to be a former player. Wasn't Texans head coach on Alabama staff. Yeah, that's irrelevant. Hey, Rico, do you think Corey Foreman will make an impact at Fresno State, or is he a complete bust? I don't think he's a complete bust. I hope he plays. I hope he gets developed, and I hope he makes the best of his situation. Please don't repeat your questions. I will get to you eventually. Please don't repeat your questions. Phil Parker ever? I don't know if Phil Parker's going to leave Iowa to be a head coach. Don't know. I'm not worried about rumors, and that's not a defensive lineman question, Trey. I don't care. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to go back to the chat. I will answer that question right there by Nick. Wayne Matthews from Old Dominion going to Michigan State, probably one of the best linebacker moves I've seen. I'm really impressed. I would say Wayne Matthews will be ranked in my top 10 defensive transfer impact players. Top 10 defense. Remember, I do 50 offense and 50 defense. Wayne Matthews will probably be in my top 10 on the defensive side of the ball. I'm really, I love that move. And I think he's a great linebacker. And I think Michigan State got lucky to have him. All right, so let's talk about the list. Who here has committed among these other players that are just committed, not enrolled, but they're going to enroll soon, meaning they're there. So Walter Nolan, they tell you he's the number 1 player in the portal. I don't agree. I think it's all bullshit. You guys know the deal. Good player, playing at A&M, going to Ole Miss. He's from Mississippi. I get it. He played high school ball in Tennessee and Memphis, but it's just because he moved over there in Powell. He just moved over there for his senior year. He's originally from Mississippi, I'm sorry. But shout out to him. Going to play at Ole Miss. Ole Miss needs players. They need defensive linemen. He's a good player. Not bad. Good player. Just he's been anointed as the NFL guy for so long. I don't see the production. I don't see the dominance that they've been talking about. He doesn't move me. Like for me, on this top 5 list, you got a guy that met all the metrics and was a 5-star by the recruiting website, so they just keep him up there. And they completely ignore Scorton here and Trey Moore. Like, you can't deny that these guys Trey Moore just had 14 sacks. And you're going to put him behind a dude who got 3 sacks in the SEC. Like, that's stupid. That's just, there's no other way to describe it. We know this guy can't play football. So, it just bothers me. There's no way around it. Nick Scorton going to A&M, 6'4", 280, has 2 years of eligibility left. I don't like that he left Purdue only because you guys got to remember, Purdue head coach Troy Walters, right? Troy Walters? Yeah, Troy Walters. Sorry for drawing a blank on it. But he just left Illinois a year ago after making Illinois the greatest. Ryan Walters. Whoa. Ryan Walters making them the greatest defense out there. The greatest defense out there at Illinois. Goes and becomes the head coach at Purdue, and he makes you better. He knows how to develop you. And what do? You leave after 1 year, after one breakout year, where you have 10 sacks, 15 tackles for loss. That's amazing. 15 tackles for loss. It's a lot, guys. It's a lot in one season. But I just don't like it, man. And shout out to A&M for getting first on his list. when you're going to go on trips, if you're a transfer portal player, you're going on trips, the first trip you take, that's pretty much the team they commit to most of the time. So A&M was the first trip. Florida State was supposed to be the next day. Missouri, then Oklahoma. Didn't matter. He's going to A&M. A&M needed it bad. Guys, A&M has signed 19 players. Just want to be real. I'm not impressed with a lot of them. This is probably the second best player I like in their transfer portal class. Number 2 out of the 19, but I don't like a lot of them. But this one obviously is an impact player, good player, really good player. That, you know, when you ask me how can a guy make an impact on a team, that's 10 sacks, bro. Like, that's a problem there. And he did it on a team that didn't see a whole lot of passing. Purdue was trailing in almost every game. Nobody was passing. They were just running the ball and trying to end the game, and he was still getting his. There's not a lot of teams that were having to play catch-up. Usually you see a lot of passes when teams are trying to play catch-up. Prince of the Manly, I already talked about in first episode. We're now on Trey Moore, leaving UTSA, going to Texas. Trey Moore, I'm going to look over here on my stats real quick. I want to make sure I got it right. 8 sacks as a freshman, then 14. Shout out to Trey Moore. 8 sacks as a freshman, then 14 this year. I really like everything about him. I think he went to Alabama on a trip, but he still chose Texas. He's a Texas kid. He went down in tackles this year. They were trying to double team him, not let him make tackles. It didn't matter. He made every play that mattered. He's great. Talked about all these guys in the first episode. By the way, I really like Trey Moore. Talked about all these guys in the first episode, and then we have Colton here. Colton Woolard just asked me about him in chat. Played at Miami of Ohio. He's going to Oklahoma. When we watch tape on the MAC, he's from Maslin, Ohio. When we watch tape on the MAC, we thought he was good. He looked good. He was dominating. Miami of Ohio defense was dominating. 9.5 sacks this year. First team All-MAC. I think he's got it, man. I think he's got the juice. Good size, 6'5", 252. I said good size. Pause. But I like the kid. I'm excited for him. Go to Oklahoma. Get in that 2 deep. Start getting developed and get ready to make it to the NFL. We'll see if he can do it. Xavier McLeod. Complete red flag to me. Complete red flag. They kept him up high at a 4-star. This is Mr. Football from South Carolina, from Camden, South Carolina. Signed with South Carolina. I thought he was going to go to Michigan or Miami in high school. I think he was committed to Michigan. And then he flipped to South Carolina to stay home. And within 7 weeks, gone. Within 7 weeks, no longer on the team. He didn't travel. And then they asked Shane Beamer about it. And Beamer's like, yeah, he's not going to be on the team anymore. He's a good player, but we wish him well, but it just won't be here. High school tape looks amazing. He plays nose tackle in the high school tape. It's a 3-4 defense. And he's playing nose guard. He's playing 3 technique, and he's just all over the field. He's dominating everywhere. How do you become South Carolina's Mr. Football as a nose tackle? That's amazing, right? So Georgia's ignoring the red flags. Something went wrong with this kid. Didn't respect the team. Didn't respect the coaching staff. Didn't like the ambiance. I mean, you're from South Carolina, and he just quit the team within the first year. Didn't like to be coached hard. Red flags everywhere, and they went ahead and took him. So more power to him. But he'll be in the rotation of Georgia, by the way. They need him. Georgia needs people, and this is a good kid. Like I said, he looks dominant on tape. I think there's red flags there. Cassius Howell, leaving Bowling Green, going to A&M. Cassius Howell can play some football. He's an undersized kid, 6'4", 235, from Missouri. He was 3 stars. They gave him 4 stars. If you watch his high school tape, he's a wide receiver. I thought it was weird. I'm watching and I'm not talking about tight end. Wide receiver. But he had 9.5 sacks this year in the MAC because he's so athletic, because he can do his thing. And A&M actually needs, we have him as an edge, and we're talking about defensive line for A&M, but it's really a linebacker. It's an outside linebacker, right? 6'4", 235. He's an edge player. Outside linebacker for A&M. A&M needs linebackers. Torrin York is the only linebacker on A&M with any game experience. So A&M addresses it. They go get Alex Howard, who is from Youngstown State, not the caliber of A&M. Scooby Williams from Florida, okay, he's good. But for me, Elko is just getting as many players as he can that aren't from the previous regime. I'm serious. He's getting players that aren't of the caliber of A&M. Elko's getting players that don't look like SEC recruits. They don't look good enough to win in the SEC, But you can't win with individuals. You got to win with a team, right? So what you do is you just try to get as many players in that locker room that rock with you, that believe in you. You can't have dissent in that locker room. You can't have people. You know what's the craziest thing, guys? Is if I have an MVP who tells me, oh, I don't always agree with you, Rico, but sometimes you're right. I don't want that guy around me. Or people who write, I don't ever agree with Rico, but he's got a good point here. I don't even want you watching my videos. The only people I want watching my videos and being MVPs and rock with are people who genuinely rock with me. Not people who are like, well, I'm here. I don't like this guy, but he's a real asshole, but he got some good points in his videos. Like, I don't like you like that. I'm not with you. I don't like it. I don't appreciate it. I don't want anything to do with you. And I feel like Elko is going into that locker room and only wants people that rock with him. Not people who are like, well, I stuck it out. I'm here. I committed to Fisher, but I guess he's cool. We'll keep him. Nope. He's bringing in people that rock with him. And you know who's going to rock with him? Any recruit he signs in the transfer portal, because he talked to him, recruited him, convinced him to come to the school, and they're coming there to play for him. So therefore, he's getting 19 guys, a recruiting class, and you can flip that roster and find a bunch of people who are with you. It worked for Coach Prime. It works anywhere. It works in any walk of life. You don't want people, and if you're supervisors or managers, you might have a good person at work right now that's pretty productive and pretty good, but they don't like you. So you bump heads every day. It's a source of tension. You regret having to talk to them. There's tension in a meeting. You're sitting there. You're giving out advice. I used to give out something called taskings. I used to tell people what to do. I'm a first sergeant. I'd have platoon sergeant meetings, and I'll be like, okay, you're going to do this. You're going to do this. You're going to do this. And if you rock with me, you're taking notes, and you're going out and you're executing. I remember I had this one platoon sergeant, and he just looked at me, and can I talk to you after this? I said, Roger. Talk to me afterwards. He says, permission to speak freely. That's what he said to me. Permission to speak freely. I said, no, you do not have permission to speak, ever. This guy had been in the Army 15 years, E7. Sergeant first class. I said, put your hands behind your back, get to parade rest, and speak respectfully, and let me know what you got an issue with. He let me know his issue. The next day, I relieved him, bro. And you can think I'm harsh. You can think I'm crazy. I relieved him. And I told him, you are not built for this position. You're not built to execute and grow our team. You're not built to be an extension of me. You want to contradict me. You think it's... I said, and maybe one day you'll be a first sergeant. Maybe one day you'll be in charge. And you can make every decision you ever wanted to make. But today, that is not today. Not on my watch. Peace. And I went and got this little staff sergeant. Some of you guys might feel bad for that guy. Some of you guys might think, Rico, you were wrong. Nope. I went and grabbed a staff sergeant who I truly believed in. And I said, you are now the platoon sergeant. Little kid looked at me like, what? He's a master sergeant today. He's a first sergeant today. That kid knew what he was doing. He got in and he executed. So when you look at these young players and you don't think they're quite as good as they should be, or they're not more talented, they don't have as many stars as the guy they're replacing, just know, if they listen to their coach and they're all in and they're buying into the program and the culture, you're going to succeed. And I think that's Elko's niche. I think that's Elko's way of succeeding at A&M, is find players who succeed, find players who buy into what you're doing, and you don't want anyone to dissent from the team, right? A bunch of individuals don't win shit. A bunch of individuals can't win a thing. And you see it when the pressure's on. When we're losing 30-0, you see the guys who start arguing with the coach, who come to the sideline arguing and talking, well, throw me the ball, whatever. They start getting upset. And then you see those guys who really believe in the coach and the culture, and they all buy in. And they all hunker down, and they huddle in, and they say, all right, we got to do this. I'm telling you, there's just something about team building that's so much more impressive than people realize. So shout out to Elko. You got yourself a great player in Howell. He looks athletic, gets some sacks, but he's different, right? He's different. He's not the typical SEC recruit. I'm okay with that. Anton Junkej, I'm not sure how to say his name. I went and watched tape on him. He's from Albany going to Arkansas. You see that, guys, Albany to Arkansas. It's got to be a little nuts going FCS to Arkansas. But he's from New York, so his high school tape was weird. Most New York kids' high school tape is at a bad angle, small stadiums, really weird. You can't tell if they're good or not. Well, this young man was 6'3", 245 out of high school. He's now 280. And this year alone, it's gonna sound crazy, 21 and a half tackles for loss. A lot of it had to do with the fact that Albany's a good team, and they were beating other teams. 15 sacks, FCS All-American. 15 sacks this year. So that's a sack monster. Out of the defensive tackle position, defensive end position, this guy right here is a stud. Going to the SEC, I hope Arkansas is excited to have him. Anton Junkish, this dude, 15 sacks this year. 21 and a half tackles for loss. That's an insane amount of tackles for loss in one season. Stud. John Pius is a stud. Talked about him in the first episode. By the way, if I'm skipping anybody, it's because I talked about him in the first episode, just so we're clear. Marley Cook is the next guy I'm going to talk about. All these other guys were in the first episode. Marley Cook, and when I say first episode, once again, defensive lineman, first episode. You can find it on the live tab. You can find it on Patreon. And you can watch all the content. Marley Cook, defensive lineman, leaving Middle Tennessee State, going to Miami. I talked about him in the first episode, but not in depth. 6'2", 300 pounds. Dude just plugs holes. Straight up. He's from Mississippi. Just plugs holes. When I was watching his highlight tape from high school, his huddle tape, it cut to different plays too fast. This is how you end up at Middle Tennessee State. If you can play football, when you make your huddle tape, don't cut to the next play so fast that we can't identify you pre-snap. Because then you're just fighting too hard to rewind it, go back, and we can't tell what the hell you did in that play. So one thing I'll say about Marley Cook is if you went and looked at tape this year, you didn't see much. Production was way down, 18 pressures, but that's because Middle Tennessee State wasn't good this year. Last year, when they were winning games and scoring points, the other teams were having to play from behind and catch up, and they were throwing a lot more. And Marley Cook in 2022, 49 pressures, 7 sacks. Had a 90.1 PFF score in pass rushing. Dominant in the pass rush in 2022. This year, 18 pressures. So 49 pressures in 2022, 18 this year. Huge drop-off. A lot of that has to do with game planning. You know this guy's the pressure monster. You go double team him. But more importantly, teams weren't having to throw against you because you weren't winning in any games. Middle Tennessee was bad this year, as opposed to a 7-win team winning their bowl game the previous year before. So going to Miami, they need him. He'll be up front. I'm excited for it. Congratulations. Next guy is Isaiah Hastings. Let's find him. Repeated on the list. Isaiah Hastings here, going from Alabama to Missouri. Talked about him in the last episode. I'll just say it again. I think he's terrible. Never saw the field. From Canada. 6'4", 290. He's all potential-based driven. Nothing he's ever done on the field warrants signing this. And I mean nothing he's ever done on the field, like nothing in high school, nothing at Alabama. So in high school, he played in Canada, guys. He wasn't great in Canada. He wasn't. But they gave him a 4-star because he went to a camp, and he's huge. Now they moved him down to 3 stars. Never saw the field at Alabama, and then he had 1 tackle against ULM. That's not it, man. That's not any good. No. And he's already wasted a year of eligibility. He's got 3 years left. Missouri needs all the help they can find on the defensive line. They need it all. So they go and sign Hastings. Congratulations. A big body. That's it. Chris McClellan leaving Florida, going to Missouri. For me, another big body that doesn't do much. For me, 6'3", 320. In high school, I watched him. He's obviously moving closer to home. He's from Oklahoma. But I watched him play at Tulsa Edison. I found some tape of him at Tulsa Edison. He went there first, and then he transferred to Owasso. I watch a lot of Owasso tape because there's a bunch of skill players from there that I look at, and a lot of their kids reach out to me in DMs. But coming out of high school, it was either going to be Oklahoma, Alabama, or Florida, and he goes to Florida. Defensive end on the tape. He's a defensive tackle. Manhandles people with zero technique. And what's crazy is he's so big, 6'3", 320, teams want him. I mean, he went on a trip to Colorado. And who's impressed with that move, right? I don't know. Didn't move me on tape. He went on a trip, didn't like it, didn't want to go there. Here's my thing. Missouri's losing Blake, right? Blake Baker, defense coordinator. I don't know how they're going to do. I don't know why these guys are committing there. It's weird. I'm not impressed with either one of these moves. I'm just being real. TJ Jackson leaving Troy, going to West Virginia. TJ Jackson is a young man who I believe is underrated. 6'1", 275. When you're 6'1", 275 defensive lineman 6 foot, 5'11", 6 foot, 6'1", you're too short. They won't take you out of Power 5 school. So you got to go a different route. He was a 2-star kid coming out of high school. Shout out to Stanhope Elmore. But for me, TJ Jackson has been productive. He's been good. Now, this year he was second team All Sun Belt. But the year before, last year, 2022, first team All Sun Belt. So he's just one of these studs. Now, he's going to replace Tommy Wadurje. I already talked about him earlier in the show, the kid who just went to Florida State. So his job is to replace Tommy Wadurje. Good luck with that. I don't know if he's good enough to do that, but I like TJ Jackson a lot. He's easy to cheer for. Small school guy, no stars, 2 stars, just overcoming all the hype and all the drama, and then you make it out here. And he had other offers. Shout out to Boston College, Jacksonville State, A&M. A&M offered him because we want anybody in the building at A&M. I'm almost done, guys. I'm going to stop tonight at a few guys. I think I'm going to keep going. I think I'm going to stop at Isaiah tonight, and then I'll go back to the chat and we'll be done. So just hang in there with me. Sorry about that. Let's look at Collins. Oh, my goodness. Collins Achimampong. I don't know how to say his name. Achimampong. This young man should have never been a 4-star player. Never. Now, he comes from Africa. So he comes from Ghana, came to America to play basketball, got to high school, couldn't start on the basketball team. He was at Fairmont Prep. Couldn't start on the basketball team. They had 2 other bigs ahead of him. He's 6'7", 270. That's right, 6'7", 270. So he goes to a camp, and all of a sudden the websites start drooling on him. They label him a 4-star. He's going to be a great football player, all this stuff. Guys, in high school, his football team, they discontinue football, so he transfers to Santa Margarita. Shout out to Santa Margarita. Rancho Santa Margarita. Cool. California, going to play football, going to do great things. Guess what he does on the football field? 14 tackles, 3 sacks in 4 games. And he doesn't play anything else. He played 4 high school games at Santa Margarita. And he was an Under Armour All-American. Got invited to the camp based on his metrics. Under Armour All-American. So they send him to Miami. Goes to Miami this year, just red shirt, never doesn't see the field at all. Jumps in the portal, and now he's headed to UCLA. What are we doing? What are we doing? He was committed to Michigan at one point, flipped to Miami. This is all potential. Seen nothing on tape that warrants it. I don't get it. Congratulations, UCLA. You got a player. Speaking of a player, shout out to Sterling Webb. Been at New Mexico State for the last 2 years. Starting, playing. Only 4.5 sacks this year, but don't get it twisted. Defensive tackle with 4.5 sacks. He's going back home. He's from Missouri. Of all the Missouri signings, this is the one guy that can play football. You go back, watch the tape against Auburn. He's doing just fine. He got a sack in that game. He's doing just fine on the tape. He can play in the SEC. I like Sterling Webb. These other guys, they can't play football. This is a football player down here. This guy's been playing. Ever since he got to New Mexico State, he's in the starting lineup. He's playing winning football. I don't know what the hell we're doing here, but that kid right there can play some football. I'm just letting you know. Next dude is all these other guys I already talked about in the first episode. Quindarius Dunnigan. Leaving Middle Tennessee State, going to Michigan State. He played at Chattanooga High School. Good high school. I think they won this year. They might have won state. I know they beat a team out of Georgia. Did they beat Milton? No, they beat a small school team. Who was it? I wish I remember. Maybe they beat Benedictine or somebody. Either way, played at a powerhouse. Georgia Tech offered him. He picked Michigan State. Former 2-star kid. They increased him by 1 star while he transferred. He is pretty damn good. He was injured in 2021, so he's redshirted twice. Just so we're clear, he's redshirted twice, been around for a while, but he was second team all-conference in Conference USA, And he led the country, it's going to sound crazy, and passes deflected among defensive linemen. He bats down passes. He's 6'4", 250, but he knows when to bat down passes. He's good, man. 8 passes deflected. That's almost as many as any corner out there. So he's batting down shit everywhere. I'm interested to see what Michigan State can do with him. I like that. Jahir Ojada going to Purdue. Remember, Purdue just lost their star sack artist. Where's this kid from? Franklin College. You guys don't even know what this emblem is. Franklin College, Division III school. I had to go find tape on this kid. 6'4", 260. Been at school for 4 years, going to Purdue. Purdue just lost a 10-sack guy. Stud, right? You go get this man from Carmel, Indiana. Carmel's a powerhouse in football in Indiana. He can play some football, y'all. 9.5 sacks this year, Defensive Player of the Year. 32 career sacks at Division III. 32 career sacks. So between him, I don't know if I say his name right. Shidasilla, spelled the way I said it. Shidasilla, the kid from Boston College. C.J. Madden from Georgia. Those three, they got a lot of work to do. They got to fill in some gaps there at Purdue. I'm excited for this young man. High production, Division III transfer. Pretty excited. For me, he's going to be on my list of super long shots in the NFL. There's another guy coming up that's a super long shot in the NFL, Dalen Dotson. But that one is super long shot. I like this kid. I want to see what he can do. There's Elijah Austin. You guys are saying he's going where? It's coming up in the chat here. Somebody said it in the chat. We'll talk about it when I see it. But congratulations, you mind chaser, you mind changer. Deion Wilson. They know him as Tank. Another New Mexico State defensive lineman. If you watch New Mexico State win 10 games this year, a lot of it had to do with their defense just being stout, tough, and doing the damn thing. Deion Wilson is that guy. Now, Deion Wilson spent 3 years at Arizona. His nickname's Tank, by the way. 6'5", 300 pounds. Shout out to Paris, California. Went to Orange Vista High School. But he used to be a tight end. He was 6'6", 240. So he's athletic. 6'6", 240. He shrunk an inch, gained 60 pounds. I don't know what's going on. But it doesn't matter. He spent 3 years at Arizona, transferred to New Mexico State, made it happen, does not get sacks at all. But he will not let you get to his linebackers. And that's important now in the defensive tackle. He's going to keep the linebackers clean so they can scrape and make their plays and fill the alleys. Deion Wilson, great get for Syracuse. You need to have just a big fat dude up there. What's crazy to me is I actually thought Isaiah Rakes was going to go to Syracuse. Remember, his defensive line coach is now the defensive coordinator at Syracuse, and that's Fadil Diggs, his teammate as well. But Elijah Robinson is now at Syracuse as the defensive coordinator, and Fadil Diggs goes over there too. His teammate, I thought he was going, but he flipped to USC, which is really weird. Bottom heavy, fat dude on tape. And the last guy I want to talk about, Dylan Dotson, leaving UT Martin, going to play at UCF. It's exciting, y'all. This is a kid from Jinx High School here in Savannah, Georgia. Been at UT Martin, FCS All-American, All-Conference, 16.5 sacks the last 2 years. And when you look at a team like UCF, losing Tremont Morris Bash, whatever he does, the hyphen name kid, right? Brash. It's going to be something where you need him. And let me tell you what Dylan Dotson said. He said, I'm committing to UCF because I want to play for the guy that used to coach Cam Newton. Imagine being Gus Malzahn and you're still getting recruits because you were Cam Newton's head coach. I think it's super weird. But, yeah, Dylan Dotson currently graded as a 6th and 7th round draft pick and probably trying to move up to the 3rd or 4th round. See what he can do at UCF. So those are all the players I wanted to talk about tonight. Next time, I think I start on Dinkins. I'm going to start on Travis Bates. Where do we see Bates? Keith Cooper, Travis Bates, right there. Everybody else I've already talked about in previous episodes. So I'm going to start on Travis Bates and then work my way down. I usually pick about 25 guys, and we'll go. By the way, the amount of defensive linemen that have committed is right now sitting at 176. So that would take me like 8 episodes to cover them all. So if you guys – oh, wait, I wanted to talk about Orrin Patu. Remember, this is the Arizona transfer. Look where he's going, guys. Bethune-Cookman. Bethune-Cookman. Shout out to him for being realistic about his playing time. Going down to Bethune-Cookman, him and Dallas Corbett down here from UCF. Both committed to Bethune-Cookman. That's awesome. I love moves like that. Get off the bench and go find a team that wants you, and you can start there and go play. Oren Patu, leaving Arizona, going to Bethune-Cookman. That's a crazy move. Congratulations. Now let me go back up in the chat, and we'll call it a night. See where we were at. Without Saban, Rico, did you talk about Woolard? I just did. Shout out to Elijah Austin. Yes, Texas is a better job. Got it. Minka Fitzpatrick. Got it. Wasn't Texas head coach. Hey, Rico, got all that. Do you think, Parker, that's where we ended? That's where we ended. Is Jalen McMurray to Tennessee a good move? Sure. Nick Gordon is the best D lineman in the portal, and it's not close. Yeah, Jeremy Harrington, I think it is close, and I don't think he's the best defensive lineman in the portal. Nope, he's not for me. Not even, and I don't think it's close. I don't think it's close, but congratulations. That's wild. They do that. Elijah Austin saw how stacked the A&M D-line was and decommitted. Respect it. No, the D-line's not that stacked. Rico, what up, Playboy? What up, Juice? Good to see you, man. Corey Foreman versus Malachi Nelson finna go crazy. Shout out to the Mountain West. Just joined in late, but you seen those Albany guys on the D-line getting a bunch of Power 5 offers. Yes, I have. One of them's great. Talked about him tonight. Rewind the show and go find it. Rutgers thoughts. My thoughts are their D-line is great. I like Rutgers' defense. Thoughts on Harold Perkins and LSU's defensive line? A lot of big names, a lot of good players. What do you think about the new LSU hires? Kind of dumb question. Just want to see your insight. It's not a dumb question at all. They're fine. They're fine. Rutgers, Malcolm Ray, he's going to come up on an episode. Is it the next episode? I have him on my list in front of me here, but it's going to be a while. Let me see. Where is he? Dang it. I'm guessing it's going to be 2 more episodes. There he is. Malcolm Ray. So, unfortunately, when you look at Malcolm Ray, he's down here. He's at number 90, and we're probably in the 60s right now. So, it might be another episode, one or 2 episodes. And there's Jacob Kanega as well. So, that's when I'll talk. I go through the list when I'm going to talk about him. So, it'll be a while. Good question, though. Stick around. Come show up to future shows. I'll be talking about him in the near future. That's a horrible replacement then for Latu. Hey, no, that's not a replacement for Latu. You don't do that. He's just a developmental piece, a guy that's there. Will Howard is the most underrated quarterback in the nation. I don't agree. Thoughts on Kennard Snyder? Go watch episode 1. We talked about him then. Austin's going to Miami. Congrats. Calling it now. Boise State to the college football playoffs. That's going to be really weird. I don't see that happening, Isaac Taylor. My group of 5 team that's going to make the playoffs is Memphis. Memphis is far better than Boise. Casey Thompson just committed to Oklahoma. Congratulations. I knew that. Somebody told me that about a week ago. I have that somewhere in my inbox about a week ago, that Casey Thompson was going to go be a graduate assistant after he's done. So he's going to go be the backup. Your top 5 cornerbacks for the 2024 NFL Draft. Jordan Jones, they haven't all declared for the draft, so I have no idea who's going to be in the draft at this time. And I don't start addressing NFL draft rankings until probably February or March. The draft's in April. There's no rush to make a list now and be uninformed and wrong. So my top 5 will be sometime later. Way too early Natty Champ pick for next year. I didn't pick a Natty Champ for this year. So why the hell would I pick one for next year? I don't do that kind of stuff, guys. You're on the wrong page, wrong channel. All that shit you see on TV, I don't do it, man. That's not fun to me. I don't like to argue with people. I don't debate sports, and I don't do early predictions like this. That's dumb. So thanks for being here. Thanks for joining the channel, guys. Thanks for watching. Remember, I'm picking NFL games on Patreon. You should go over there and watch and see what we're doing. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Thanks for being, y'all. Peace.
When they come, and they will, they'll come for you.
I have an army.
We have a Hulk.
Oh, I thought the beast had wandered off.
You're missing the point. There's no throne. There is no version of this where you come out on top.
Let me infiltrate the beat, concentrate the heat. If you ain't on my level, fuck it, let me be. I'll be going till it's all in motion, talking killing rappers, then I hit my quota. And my train of thought is more a locomotive, talking reason for it, I got locomotives. Used to be on a revenge tip, on a stun on my ex and a friend's tip. I was Spider-Man whipping the black suit, I was powerful but almost lost Luke. Blurring the line between human and artist, try not to change but I swear it's the hardest. I swear when you're up they turn you to a target. Home was a trip, all I did when I'm talking. So, what it take to be an icon? all in your desktop, so I just might already be one. My me with the label, it feels on the table, one sign, but I'm down for a free lunch. Just speaking my heat-seeking missiles of hits, but other than me, I see no heat exist. Yo, gassed up, I'm about to go green, go green, go green. Hulk smash if she know me, know me, know me. Write it to life like I'm Stan Lee, Stan Lee, Stan Lee. If life's about to be a cold war, I'm the hero that they asked for. Green, green, green. I'm about to go, I'm about to go green. I'm about to go, I'm about to go green. I'm about to go, I'm about to go green. Get the fuck back, I'm about to go green. I might begin making a feature a rack. Cause when I hit your beat, I turn shit to Iraq. Dropping bombs like I'm cursing you out. This your house, then I'm kicking you out. Quiet as a mouse, came in the game, not a word is out that I've been lighting the flame. Shit is potent, don't you know it? I've been flowing, steady growing till they know the name. Saw it ahead of time, knew that I'd get to my losing myself in the view to some window pane. I swear I'm all about peace, I'm a positive person. Wasn't always like that, you know it took me some learning. They asked me how I push a positive light, how I keep my composure through internal fights when addressing the mic through these dark nights. Where the Bruce Wayne, what a trick be. Here's some truth that I'll let free, Bruce Banner of rap if you ask me. When my will to win and the track meet, the secret is I'm always angry. Yo, gassed up, I'm about to go green, go green, go green. Hulk smash if she know me, know me, know me. Write it to life like I'm Stan Lee, Stan Lee, Stan Lee. If life's about to be a cold war, I'm the hero that they asked for. Green, green, green. I'm about to go, I'm about to go green. I'm about to go, I'm about to go green. I'm about to go, I'm about to go